Let's jump into the college basketball scene, though, Brett. On Thursday, we have teams that are absolutely playing for big implications, going to the dance type implications. And so Syracuse got a much needed win against North Carolina State earlier on Wednesday. I actually woke up on the West Coast to find out that they were pretty damn close to tip off by the time I was getting ready to check in for work, which is surprising. But yeah, we have basketball all day long. It's one of the things that everyone has to love about March Madness, right?
Yeah, big day for the Qs. Actually, Butler came back from double digits against Xavier put to push Joe Lenardi into pushing Cuse into the last four in Higgins. So,
Ooh.
Butler Bulldogs might actually be Syracuse's favorite team, though we have harsh feelings from the Arenze Anawaku years.
Let's jump into some of these games on Thursday, though, Brett. I mentioned Syracuse playing on Wednesday. Well, they're back in action on Thursday against the Virginia Cavaliers. And for our listeners that tune in regularly, you may remember recently Brett took a bold stance and took the Tar Heels against the Orange. And although he may have lost the bet, the Orange won the day. This is a bet a little bit from the heart that I'm doing as well. I'm going to take UVA -5. Now, the data points towards this a little bit better, though. I mean, Virginia and Syracuse, when they played earlier in the season, Virginia just trounced them. Virginia was the 8th ranked team of the at the time, and they won 81-58. So, -5 neutral location. It makes sense. Syracuse has been streaky all year long. It just depends what orange team shows up.
Well, fun fact, Higgins, Syracuse hasn't lost in Greensboro in 2 years. We are 2-0.
Mm.
We actually snuck in that game before the world ended. So we beat North Carolina and then we beat NC State in Greensboro. Back to back games, but about a year apart. So maybe that's a good omen for Cuse, and we keep that going as well. Also, Syracuse has some fun history against Virginia in March, and I'm looking forward to that. So I couldn't back Virginia because my heart was too emotionally invested in this game, Higgins, and if I was also financially invested, I may literally die. So we don't want that.
Well, plus, based on your background, it's hard to give an impartial front. I mean, I only have one Syracuse hat over here. I see you got an auto and a banner, maybe a little flag. It's a little harder for us to talk about Syracuse objectively on this show, I
I think
think.
it's just a Mets. It's a Mets flag, but that's okay. But yeah, speaking of Syracuse, let's talk about some former rivals in the Big East, Higgins. Georgetown takes on Villanova tomorrow. Nova -8. They're the higher seed, but they have some big injuries. Justin Moore is out. Gillespie is out. I think those are two very obviously key players for Villanova. So I like Georgetown with the points here. Now I think Villanova advances. I think they have more talent. Maybe they're slightly better coached. I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from Patrick Ewing. He spent years as an assistant learning from Van Gundy and Steve Clifford and he's been in the NBA and played for great coaches, so he's obviously knows his basketball as well. But Jay Wright and Nova are just a powerhouse program, and I think they get it done. But I think 8 is too many points without your starting point guard and another key player in Justin Moore.
Those injuries could affect this big. I mean, I think that's what's affecting the line because Villanova won near the beginning of the season in December by 13, and then they won in January by 10, or sorry, early February by 10. So 8 without Gillespie, especially who tore his MCL, I believe. It's going to be a little hard to get those larger margin wins, especially against a rival, especially against Patrick Ewing, who knows exactly what the Big East tournament means, knows Madison Square Garden very well, knows how to play things to his advantage maybe in that arena for his team. Who knows? Maybe he can get them some extra ice in their water buckets or something.
Definitely hope he can get a little extra ice, or I mean, I hope he gets like a nicer locker room or something. I hope they throw him a bone.
Should be interesting. Should be interesting. I'm going to take another pick in college basketball, though. Traveling down south, I guess you can say it's traveling down south. I mean, it is the SEC. And Brett, we're going to talk about a line that I do not expect to be the same by the time they're listening to this, and that's kind of why I'm taking it. Mississippi State plus 2.5 against Kentucky, and we're looking at this right now, and Mississippi State at plus 2.5 is plus 108. Kentucky's been horrible against the spread this year. I mean, they are 9 and 15 bad, only cover 37.5% of the time. Now, Mississippi State's not outstanding, but they at least cover over 50% of the games, 14 and 13. So, plus 2.5. Do I think that Mississippi State wins? Maybe. I think there's a good chance that they could potentially win this game, and being the underdogs as a 14 and 13 team against a team that's 9 and 15. I don't know. The Bulldogs should be a little disrespected by that, I think. And with this value, how can you not take that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up some good points, Higgins. This is an automatic stay away game for me because I think everything you say is valid, but I can't bet Mississippi State against Kentucky in basketball. Like, you just see that, and you're like, ooh, I'd rather just hold on to my $10 and save it for a rainy day. So I appreciate your courage jumping on this, Higgins. I can't do it personally.
This was a double overtime game when these two played in the regular season. That was back on January 2nd. Kentucky did win 78 to 73, so that would cover, but it's a double overtime scenario. That's two scenarios potentially that the game could have been ended and Mississippi State would have potentially covered if it wasn't a three-pointer that would have won the game. I don't know. I think that this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be interesting, and while Siri may not let you physically press the button to place the bet against Kentucky, it's just not letting you. Good thing about the Android market is it'll let me. It'll
It's
let
just
me.
not working. I don't know. My iPhone's not working. But honestly, Higgins, I love the logic, and I'm going to prove it to you because in this next game, Texas Tech versus Texas, Texas Tech beat Texas in a very similar fashion. It was actually a crazy buzzer beater by Mac McClung. And that was a huge win for Texas Tech. But I think Texas responds, Higgins. I think they come back. They're a little more fired up. This game was so close last time. They almost won at Tech. Like, this one's going to be in Kansas City, I believe, is where the Big 12 tournament is. So, neutral site, I think advantage Texas because they're the team that's going to try and make adjustments from the last game. So UT plus 106 on the money line, Higgins. Sign me up for the plus 106 odds. I'm all in.
This game was so good the first time around that it was a money line magic. We'll see. Will it be good enough the second time around? I mean, we've seen Andrew Jones hit a buzzer beater, a man that has climbed and fought his way back onto that court. We saw Mac McClung hit that shot that you mentioned. That was the money line magic. Both of these teams have the capability. It should be a very, very interesting late night game in Kansas City for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned both of them really good teams, so it should just be a fun game in general. And both these teams could be pretty dangerous in March, Higgins. Do I think either can win? It'll be tough, but do I think these teams can beat just about anyone on any given night? Yeah, they're really talented teams, Higgins. Tons of highly rated recruits, some NBA talent, so they have all the pieces you need to win a game in March.
Now, I do want to just bring this up because we mentioned it at the top of the show. The Colorado Buffaloes also do play on Thursday night. As we are recording, we do not know who they are playing, though. That is still to be determined based on the outcomes that are going to happen on Wednesday night. What do you think your chances are of those Buffaloes, though? You mentioned it at the top.
Well, Higgins, I guess if it's Stanford, I like them to win, but I like Stanford too. Bryce Wills 914, and Zaire Williams is a very highly touted player. He's really skilled. He kind of plays the 3-4 at the next level and does that as well for Stanford. So they're talented. I would take Colorado as a slight favorite, but we'll have to see what the actual line comes out to be before I bet on that game.
As we talk about this, though, Cal is beating Stanford in the first half of that game. I'm sure that's who Colorado is rooting for.
Yeah, Colorado would be thrilled to see Cal there. That would be that would be very nice for Colorado fans.
Wait, actually, or would they? Colorado beat Stanford in both of their matchups. They lost to California in one of their matchups and beat them in the other. So do you want the team that you went 1-1 with? It's really hard to beat a team 3 times compared to that rubber match that you're going into. There's definitely more motivation for that.
I'd be okay to see Cal. Cal's pretty much an auto fade, Higgins.
I agree.